Hi, y'all. Welcome back. If you're new here, the channel is called The Scent Diaries, and my name is Heather. I do fragrance reviews of my collection, and I have also recently been throwing in some personal scary stories from my past. So today, first disclaimer, please excuse the lighting. I'm still, I got some, I've got some issues with the lighting. It looks kind of pale. I'm still trying to figure that out. I think if I block this window, that maybe that would help it a little more. I just don't have a blackout shade. Well, I do have a shade I could use, but I don't have a bar to hang it up yet. So, working on that. I also, if you saw my last video, the editing was not so great. It skipped around a little bit because I'm just now learning how to cut parts out of it. And I kept accidentally saying my siblings' names, which I did cut some of those out, but there was a couple that got left in on accident. It was not a smooth transition by any means. I am still learning what to do and how to do this. I'm not exactly tech savvy. I'm having to get my husband to help me with a lot of it. And I'm going to try not to say any of their names, going forward if I can remember. It's just really hard because I'm so familiar with just saying their names. I don't think they would even care. I haven't asked them, but just in case, I'd rather just say, my brother or my sisters instead of their actual names. So we'll do that part at the end. And also, I sort of figured out the thumbnail situation. I was able to put like a Google stock photo of the fragrance that I reviewed last time, the Gourmand White Flowers by Dossier. Great scent. So I've kind of figured that out a little bit, but I really want to work with it and like make a quality thumbnail, not just something I pulled off of Google Images. But like I said, this is all new to me. I have no clue what I'm doing, so please just bear with me as the channel progresses and we move forward with, figuring things out and learning. So this is a learning curve for me. So, anyways, today what we're going to be reviewing is actually a gourmand scent. I was gonna, somewhat stick with the spring and summer scents because we're moving into those seasons. But I had to go ahead and speak about this one because I am almost out completely, and I don't think by the time that the fall rolls around and the winter rolls around that it's even going to still be in my collection. I probably will repurchase this one though, because it's one of my very favorite scents as far as like actual eau de parfums, perfume, not body mist goes. So today, yeah, we are going to be talking about Pink Sugar by Aqualina. And as you can see, girl is almost gone. She's got a couple uses left. And this is a big bottle. This is, I think, 3.4, 100 mil. Um, it's funny because they say 100 mil, but sometimes it'll say like 3.3. So wouldn't that be like a little bit less mil? I don't know how that works. Usually it's 3.4 though if it's 100 mil, which is the biggest size that most perfumes come in. There are a couple one-off perfumes that come up in, like some 4-ounce size. I think um, Portofino, Neroli, or whatever it's called, comes in like a giant, big bottle, and so does a CK1. I believe that one comes in at like a 4 point something. But generally, most fragrances that you come across or can buy, it's going to be a 3.400 mil as the biggest size. You can buy this one in a smaller size. Honestly, I would do that. Normally, I'd get like 1 fluid ounce or 1.7 fluid ounce. If it's expensive, and it's not something I know I'm gonna like. But the big size of this, the full size, is like only 20 bucks. I think it was like $18 or something on eBay or Amazon. I can't remember. It's been a minute. I've had this for a couple years. And this probably will, like I said, be a repurchase. I love this scent. This is one of the, not few, but I have more scents that I didn't love immediately and that grew on me than scents that I just loved at first sniff. And this is one of the loves at first sniff. Spray it. Let it settle. Oh, yeah. This is called what people refer to as the burnt sugar scent, because it does smell like overdone caramelized, like not burnt, like gross black burnt, like a caramelized burnt sugar. Um, and it is a pure sugar scent. It's kind of cotton candy-ish, so so sweet. It is one of the sweetest scents. I mean, it is pure. Like if you do not like gourmands, if you do not like sweet scents, steer clear because you are not gonna like this girl here at all. But this is such a strong scent, so strong. It's actually a toilet, which is crazy because toilets have less perfume oil percentage than a regular eau de parfum. Um, but this is stronger than most like actual perfume um, that I've tried. This is, I mean, you can't always go by that because I have had body mists which are like 1 to 3% perfume oil that are stronger than actual perfumes. So the eau de parfum is like the typical perfume. If you have had any perfumes, you've most likely had that. That's like the standard. But then you have the toilettes, the colognes, which cologne doesn't actually mean for men. Um, I think it actually does mean for men, like in French or something like that. But I don't mean like uh, things can be listed as a cologne that are not a man's scent. A cologne can also mean, aside from the way they say like pour femme, cologne like for men for women, it can also mean the percentage of oil that's in the product. So like there is the body mist, and I think it goes a fresh or however you say it, fresh. It's some French word. And then a cologne right above that, I believe, and then a toilette, which is what this is, and then a parfum, and then a actual eau de parfum or something like that. Or no, I get them mixed up. But and then there's right above that like an extrait de parfum, which is the strongest that you can get. It's like super super strong, very long lasting. But yeah, there's several layers and levels of what it's classified as far as how much actual scent oil is in the product. And typically the toilets are, a little lighter. They're more like a splash, just something you dab on in the bathroom. Maybe that's why it's called a toilet. I have no idea. I don't even know what that means in French, but it's something that's usually lighter. But this girl is not light. I think if they did make it any stronger, it would be off putting because it is, I mean, she sticks. This is one of those scents that you spray just a little. I'm going to smell like this the rest of the night now, just from spraying a little bit here. Like it's, you get it. You get it. But anyways, as far as like the longevity, it lasts pretty much forever. It seems like at least all day. On your clothes, it's obviously going to last a little bit longer. And this is a what I would consider a man eater scent. Um, my husband spilled this on me a couple times, and he was like, "Ooh, you need to save that for like date night because that smells good." Most men love the sweet scent, so unless that's just something he's told you he hates, most likely he's gonna like it. Let me drink a little water. I got water in a Coke bottle because went for a walk and didn't have a bottle to put the water in, so I just used an old Coke bottle. Oh, it's so good. I mean, there's really not much you can even say about it because it's just straight sugar, straight caramelized, a little bit burnt sugar. It's just so simple, but it does what you need it to do. If you want to go and smell edible and you want it and or need it to last for several hours, like if you're going out somewhere and you don't want to have to like worry about if people can even smell you by the time you get out of the car, then this definitely can do it for you. I've had this for maybe like 3 years, 3, 4 years. So it's taken me a minute to get through it because I mean she's strong. You don't even really have to spray too much. So that little bit might last me a good little bit, a couple more times. But yeah, I love her. This is probably gonna be one that stays. She's a staple, fall, winter scent that just is hard to beat because she's not doing too much. She's not polarizing, which means some people love it, others hate it. Most people that smell this are going to like it. There will be those few who are like fresh girlies or, only into like the clean kind of scents that are probably going to be like, that's way too sweet. What are you wearing? But most guys are going to like how you smell. And if you like any kind of sweet scents at all, you definitely are going to enjoy this one. And the packaging, can we just say, is like adorable. The ribbons on it, and it's got like a swirl top. It just looks like a piece of candy. It just looks like a wrapped piece of caramel chocolate. I mean, it's not really a caramely scent. Like, it doesn't smell like caramel, but it smells caramelized, if that makes sense. It smells like crispy and just like baked. I really like it. I really like it, and I wanted to go ahead and talk about her before she is gone. Like I said, I probably will get another bottle of that, but there's always new scents to try. It's a constant journey of, finding what you like and trying new things. So it's pretty rare that I like to revisit things when they're this much of a staple. I probably will, although I may take a little break, just to try some other winter scents. But I feel like this is something that will be coming back sooner or later at some point. So yeah, let's move on. We're going to talk about. I don't want to talk about. I don't like. I want to tell these stories because like I think they're entertaining, but like at the same time I don't like revisiting a lot of this stuff. I feel like talking about it like just does something. It makes you think about it. And I am home alone right now. Well, not home alone. I'm with my toddler, but he's napping. But like no adults are with me or anything, so I might get a little scared. And this is one of the scariest things that ever happened to me personally. And we have talked about some of the things that have happened to my siblings, some of the things that I was, on the sidelines involved with or in. But this is something that like directly happened, that I was fully involved with. Although my siblings were a part of this because, this all happened around the same time. At least it is spread out. But like in that house, we were all pretty young. We were like, let's see. I was probably like 9-ish. So age ranges would have been like, let's see, if I was 9, then how old would my brother have been? He would have been about 5-ish. And then my older sister would have been about 11-ish. So about 5 to 11. So it's not like we were going out and about and like separating from each other. We spent a lot of time together during these ages because we're all, at home, too young to go anywhere on our own. We don't have driver's license. So for a lot of the beginning stories, it's going to be all of us. Later, when we get a little older, things happen more like one-on-one and, you'll understand. But so this was in the first house, the house that I was most afraid of. Okay, so where do I start here? I can't remember exactly like how we all got into one room together. All four of us got into one, we were in one room, this is at night, we were, sleeping. We all slept in the same room. Not typically, that's not what I'm saying. My brother had his own room, my older sister had her own room, me and my younger sister did share a room. But normally, when we would wake up afraid or, having some sort of experience or feeling like something was in the room, we would run to our parents. I don't know why tonight we all ended up in the same room together downstairs in mine and my younger sister's bedroom instead of getting with my parents. I don't know if, like, I can't imagine that they weren't home because who would have been staying with us? I don't know, but somehow all four of us woke up and were afraid at different times, not all at once. But each one of us woke up. I guess my younger brother had gotten up and come downstairs, and I think he had gotten into the bedroom with my older sister because he was already scared. And then me and my younger sister woke up, and we were afraid. And our room was bigger, so instead of us all going into my older sister's room, everybody came into mine and my younger sister's room because there was just more room. There was 2 beds in that room because we shared the room already. So I believe some of us slept, I think maybe I slept in the bed and my younger sister slept in her bed with my older sister, and then I think maybe my brother slept on the floor. So I can't remember exactly how we all. I know we were in my room. I know it was all four of us. I know my parents weren't with us at this exact time. But I don't remember exactly the sleep situation or when we all woke up or when we all ended up in there. Sorry, I know I'm rambling, but I'm probably trying to avoid getting to the point because I don't like talking about this. But yeah, we were all really scared. And my younger brother and my younger sister, I think, had already fallen back asleep. And my older sister and me were, I guess, because more aware of what's going on because we're older and we know like we're freaked out. We don't like the way this feels. This is feeling like all the other times when scary things have happened. We feel like something's not right, you know. Um, and disclaimer, what we heard could not have been like a radio, a TV, and nothing like that. Because to get to my sister's room, you have to pass this tiny little short hallway that looks straight into the living room, and the TV is right there. So if the TV had been on, which we did not leave the TV on at night at all. But if it had been on, we would have seen immediately that the TV was on and known that what we were hearing had to have been that. But we knew that wasn't on, and we did not have any sort of radio, or like we had boom boxes. This was back in the day, you know. We did not have like a radio system. If the boom box was on in the same room we're in, we would obviously know that. So I'm just trying to disclaim that it could not have been anything like explainable what happened. um, but let me cut to the chase. So basically, we were trying to fall back asleep, and all of a sudden I start hearing what sounds like people talking. And not just like I couldn't hear what they were saying, you know, specifically. Like I couldn't hear like the individual words, but enough to hear that people are talking to distinguish things about them. It sounded like two people talking, and it sounded like one was an old lady and one was a little girl. And to me, it sounded like they were fighting, like they were yelling. Well, really, it sounded like the old lady was screaming at the little girl. The little girl sounded like she was crying, and it sounded like the old lady was like beating her, like hitting her, and the little girl was like screaming, crying, saying, "I'm sorry." And I'm hearing this, and I'm like, what is going on? And I whisper to my sister, I'm like, do you hear that? And she's like, what? And I'm like, do you not hear people? It sounds like people are talking. And she was like, no, it must be, you know, our little brother snoring or something. And I'm like, I know the sound. I'm young, but I'm not, you know, dumb. I know the sound of like my brother snoring versus voices. This is voices, distinct voices. Can't hear exactly what they're saying, but I can hear enough to tell what age they sound like, what gender they sound like, and what is the basis of the conversation that's going on, which is a fight, or somebody being abused, some kid being abused. So I don't know. And I'm thinking, okay, I must just be, I don't know, freaked out or hallucinating because I'm starting to try to fall asleep. So, but I know that I heard it. I know that I heard it, and I thought it was wild that it was just me, and I didn't know what to think. And my younger siblings were already asleep, so I couldn't ask them. And my sister is saying that she doesn't hear anything, so I just go to sleep. And I'm like, I guess I just have to go to sleep because maybe I am just like, I don't know, imagining things or just like halfway dreaming, even though I was wide awake because I was terrified. You know when you're like starting to doze off, and I was not dozing off at that time. I was scared. So the next morning, we all get up and everything, and when my older sister, is alone with me at some point, she whispers to me, she's like, actually, last night I lied. I did hear something, but I was so scared that I couldn't admit it in the moment. I was too afraid to even give it attention or to admit to you that I heard it because you were already, I could see it in your eyes, you were so scared, and I didn't want to scare you worse, and I was already scared, and I didn't want to acknowledge what was going on. And I was like, okay, well, thank you. At least, like, you know, it's not just me. I'm not like schizophrenic or something. You know, thank you for telling me that. But I was like, by the way, what did you hear exactly? Like voices, what was it? And she said it sounded like an old woman and a little girl were fighting, and my stomach dropped out my butt. Like, I was freaked out at that point because I was like, okay, that is weird, because it's one thing to both maybe hear something that, you know, you can't really explain, but to hear the exact same thing, like that's a very specific thing, like an old lady, a little girl, and they're fighting, and it sounds like she's whooping this little girl. Like maybe, I don't know if like it's some, I don't even really even believe in ghosts, because I believe that when you die, you go to heaven or hell. That might be controversial. That's what I believe. But I do believe in echoes. I believe if something bad has happened in an area or on a land or in a house, that the vibrations from that, because I believe everything is sound, the Lord spoke everything into existence. He used his voice. So everything is sound. And if something bad happens, it leaves a sound or a vibration or an echo imprinted on that specific area, that fabric of the universe, whether it's connected to the area or to a certain time or whatever. So I think maybe at some point there was an old woman, a grandmother that lived in that house that, or on that land, maybe not in that house, but on that land that apparently was beating her grandchildren or something. Um, that's, possible, I guess, and it left such a bad energy, that it's still reverberating like through time. Even though their spirits are gone, their souls are gone, what happened still left a scar on that specific area. And if you are there long enough, or if you're there at a certain time, you might catch the residual vibrations of it. I know that sounds wild, but that's truly what I believe. And so I think maybe that happened in the past, but I just was so freaked out. She was telling me that she could hear the exact same thing I heard, down to the fact that they were fighting, and it was a violent fight. It wasn't just like they were arguing and bickering. Like this woman was like beating this little girl, and like she was screaming and crying and begging her to stop. And we're like, what is happening? But that's the only time I ever heard that specifically. It never happened again. We never heard. Oh, I think my son's waking up. I gotta go. I'm so sorry. But yeah, we will come back with another one. We did hear other voices later on that were not those voices. So that was the one and only time that we heard that specific duo. But it was terrifying, and it was confirmed by another person who heard the exact same thing I heard, and who did not, I'd never told her. I promise you, I know, like, people think, oh, well, you must have told her offhandedly, and you didn't remember that you told her, and now she thinks she heard the same thing. I did not tell her. I promise you, I did not tell her what I heard. So she said the exact same thing with no prompting, no way for her to know what I heard, because I hadn't told a soul. I went to sleep and didn't say anything until she spoke to me the next day. So I do have to go. I think he's getting up. But I love y'all. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And, God bless. Bye bye.